while I eat breakfast, a thing that I I think it has to be said because so many people don't understand I guess the day-to-day point of living, but you have an obligation to be happy. Like an out and outright obligation to be happy. So with that obligation, like you don't have the right to get to the end of your life and be like, this was all miserable and terrible, and then you just die. You don't have that right. That's crazy. You have an obligation to figure out what makes you happy at the lowest common denominator. So when I say happy, I don't mean, oh, you get 1 million subscribers and you get all the money in the world and you get, what do people, I love, everybody loves me, and I don't know, like a birthday every day. Like, you don't get the right to get to the end of your life because that person at the end of your life deserves the opportunity to have lived a good life, a fulfilling life, a happy life. That person, you, who you are 60, 70, 80 years from now, has you are the only person who can protect that person's experience. And they deserve to have lived a good life. So you have an obligation every day to wake up and be happy and be content and be uh, fulfilled as a human being. And not only do you have an obligation to that person, you have an obligation to the entire community that surrounds you, society, the people who love you and care about you. You think that it's your right to just be unhappy and then get to the end of your life and die, and then everybody knows that you were unfulfilled, that you didn't do anything, you didn't succeed at anything, you didn't find anything fulfilling. What do you think that does to the general scope of society's functioning? What do you think that does to other people's view of living, or productivity, or a drive to live a good life? You think it would be okay if a bunch of people just got to the end of their life right now, currently, today? It was every single person who was dying today, and for the next like year was like, nah, it wasn't worth it. It was all sucked. This was the worst. I was never happy. I never was fulfilled. I didn't do anything of value to me or anyone else. You think that's your right to just live an unhappy life? It's so essential that people find peace for not only themselves, but for all of the people that care about you, that live around you, that have consumed you at all as a person. Your parents, your siblings, your children, all deserve for you to have lived a good life. They all deserve to get to the end of your life and look at you as a fulfilled person. So, I'm not sure why people like to put their unhappinesses on other people, or express unhappinesses, or be like, I don't have, because when you express unhappiness, as in this day was terrible, or I have this bad stuff going on, or I don't like blah, blah, I'm depressed, like, you don't think that's giving a little bit of like low self-esteem, like you don't have the ability to control your world and control the things that pass through you and that you pass through with any semblance of gumption, that you actually have value and can control the way in which you see the world and experience the world, or like you know, maybe that bad things happen and you can transgress them, you can overcome, you have skills and capabilities, and are like literally a living, breathing, thinking person with a certain amount of skill sets and certain amount of value. You just think that you can just go around telling people that you're unhappy and that you can't fix it. Like, it was a rough day, but it can get better. It was a rough day, but tomorrow won't be. Or it was a rough day and it taught me a lot. You don't no. No, just it today I'm depressed. What were we supposed to do with that as a series of creatures with evolution? We just pass on that unhappiness, just the no skill set to overcome what's going on in your life. No, it's bizarre to me that we talk about sharing who you are, and it's like, let me not care about the experiences of other people and how me saying something to them as not a mental health professional. They're not a mental health professional. So if you start talking about the world is dead and doom, they're probably going to start thinking that the world is dead and doom because they don't know how not to take on your trauma. You think that people who are leaders of communities can just be like, oh, well, this is awful and we have nothing. We're never going to succeed at anything. You think it's like that would be okay? That would lead to productive communities or societies with people who have any type of drive to be fulfilled? Lead to mass hysteria. Mass hysteria. So, you don't have a right to unload your unhappinesses on people. What you do have the right to do is fight with everything inside of you to look at life as it is a good life, that you will live a good life, that life is worth living, that you will be fulfilled. And if you can't do that, if you're just like day after day, you're like, I'm fighting every day. I'm fighting. It doesn't feel, what I'm saying doesn't feel real. I'm still not hurting the people around me. I'm still not causing trauma. I'm still not expressing unhappiness so I take other people's productivity, but it doesn't feel, I'm feeling that that's not the same as what's going on actually inside of me. You know what you have the right to do? Go pay a mental health professional for some counseling. You still don't get to put that on your friends and your family and your people who care about you, your wife, your husband, your kids. You still don't have the right to put negativity on them and unhappiness on them, because you for sure don't have a right to put it on strangers, right? Strangers don't care. You just go to the... You ever been to the grocery store and the person at the grocery is like, how's your day? Did you find everything okay? And you're like, yeah, I found everything okay. Are you having a good day, Sarah? And Sarah at the register be like, you know what? I'm working so hard. I'm here. Yesterday, I went to the mall and I asked the person, how's your day? He goes, I'm here. Well, I don't want to shop here because clearly you're unhappy that you're here at work. Like, damn, I'm sorry, I'm a customer. I'll leave because you don't seem... it's a little bit hard for you. I don't want to contribute to your unhappiness. So if I'm not a customer, you probably just won't have a job and then you don't have to be here. Like, I'm sorry. No, strangers don't care and will just remove themselves. But your family, your friends, the people who share in the reciprocity of your successes and your happinesses and your productivity, those people share in your productivity and your successes and your happiness. So when you're unhappy, they probably will get unhappy as well. Probably more so than anyone else. If you tell your husband that you think life is terrible, or you tell your wife you think you're going to get fired from a job, or you tell your kids, oh, I think I'm going to get fired. You don't think that they're going to care most? And that's going to send them into some type of spiral if they don't have training as a mental health practitioner? They don't know how to give counseling? You know, talking to people, funny enough, is this thing called talk therapy. When you express your unhappinesses to people. Because here's the other part of that. you might not mess them up. They might say something that messes you up. You ever think about that? You ever think about that? You just say something to somebody. So, for example, one of my fans told me that he asked his girlfriend something, and she had expressed some type of trauma in her life, her past life as a youth, like some family trauma that impacted their physical relationship, their romantic and physical relationship. It had a serious bridge because of what she expressed to him. Him, not a mental health professional, didn't have the right words to say to her, and then caused her a significant amount more trauma because she already felt not valued. She already felt as she was a victim. And then her boyfriend, in all his trying to care, didn't know the right things to say. Somebody come tell you that they're having a bad day at their job or their work or something, and you're their friend, you're like, well, it's okay, you should just leave. And they're like, oh my God, that was not what I needed to hear. I don't want to leave. I want help. But they might mess you up saying something that you don't need in the trauma bonding that you're trying to do. Talk to them about your bad day. Then they go and make your day worse. Because what if you tell your wife, like, I think I'm going to get fired from my job, and she's like, yeah, but then how are we going to pay for the house? And how are you going to do this? And like, if you lose your job, I'm not going to look at you as much of a man. You think that's going to be great for you and your mental health? You think that doesn't happen all the time where you express trauma or negativity to somebody and then they like start to spiral because they don't know how to deal with that, so then they put it back on you? No, you don't have the right to talk to people about unhappiness who aren't trained mental health professionals. You just don't. You don't have the right to live your life being unhappy or not content every day. And that's a lowest common denominator of happiness. Not, oh, I need this and I need that and I need my morning to go perfect. I need to wake up on time. I need to get to work on time. I need to have people be nice to me. I need the public to be moving the way the public is supposed to do. There needs to be no traffic. I need to find a parking space to be happy. No, you don't get that. You don't get that. You don't get that. What you get is, I'm a conscious being today. I woke up with the ability to make decisions, to show love and kindness, to be my best self. I have the option to do that today, and thus is happy. Like, you don't get to just have everything and then be like, because I don't have everything, I'm unhappy. What? So when I see people just come randomly on the internet and be talking about they're depressed or they're upset, or communities of people who like wallow in that, oh, the cesspool of mental health problems. Because if you're not a trained mental health professional, you cannot give appropriate advice. You cannot provide talk therapy when you don't have training in talk therapy. You just cannot. That's really egotistical of you to think that you understand how to talk to people or just assess everybody's trauma. You just don't. You don't have it. You don't have it. And here's the other thing. People who are mental health practitioners, therapists, social workers, counselors, clergy, advocates, people who get trained to talk to people about people's problem, they have to take you on as a client. You have a client agreement. As a social worker, you have to have an agreement with somebody that lasts 2 years after you leave. After they leave your care, they're a client of yours still. So you have to consent as the practitioner to take them on to help them effectively with their problems. You can't just talk to every therapist about what's going on with you. They don't have to consent to take you on as a client, because when you take somebody on as a client to accept their trauma in a way in which you're going to help them, You have obligated yourself to helping this person in the best way that you can as a practitioner. You consent. You both party consent. Both people are like, hey, I think that you'll help me. And the person who's doing the helping, hey, I think that I can help you. So all these people on the internet, all these people in public talking about negativity. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You as a human being, you as a normal human being who has no training in therapy and mental health and talking to people, you can't help them. You can't. And you can actually hurt them. It's so weird to me, the concept of happy. Why can't people just find a certain amount of peace? Because even if you choose actively to grow, where growing leads to some unhappiness, growing leads to some amount of change and some amount of unforeseen circumstances that can lead to trauma because you're trying to grow, you at least can be happy with the idea that you put your best foot forward and that you're trying to grow. And understanding this period of time is going to be difficult for me because it's going to be a lot of growing and a lot of changing and a lot of things that are not normal. So then you have happiness in that because you consented to try to grow. Because you were like, hey, I was happy. I was content, just content waking up. But now I want to travel. So I'll take on what happens with that. And I'm going to be happy with the idea of traveling and going to new places and seeing new things. And like, it might not always be the same. Or I'm going to get in a relationship and it's going to be hard to learn how it is to be married or be in a relationship, but I'm happy that I'm taking the option to try to grow because I was peaceful and content at how I was before, and I understand that changing away from peaceful or content will lead to some amount of growth. I don't know. I see it all the time. Because people will come and tell me that they're unhappy, and I'm like, I don't consent to being your mental health practitioner. No. Go pay somebody who was like, I want to take you on as a client. For sure.